Hi, I'm the PC Expert Amateur, and we're going to take a look at a brand new case. I just received it yesterday from SilverStone. It's not yet available in America, but it will be, I would assume, in the very near future. It is the SilverStone SETA A2. Now, if you're not familiar with this is the second in the A lineup for SETA. There are other SETA cases as well, but this is very nice. I've been looking it over before I started this video, and I'm really quite impressed. And the price is actually pretty reasonable. Also, I was very impressed with the fact, and I know I teased you about the price. I'm going to tell you, don't worry. But it did come very well packed. It had some very nice foam protecting it on each side. And then it also had an overpack box, which is an additional box over this box, which protected both this box and this box from the gentle care of FedEx, which wasn't so gentle, but not terrible. So wanted to show you, if you're going to ship somebody a computer case and you're not putting an overpack box on the box, that's the retail box, or whatever, if you're not doing a double boxing basically, then you're going to run very significant risks with your case. I've seen it happen at Amazon where I work, where one time I picked up a 5000D from Corsair, and I could hear that the tempered glass panel had been shattered. So you can see here, there's a nice big dent here, and it's been scraped here. And then this is the worst one. It's all the way through, but no effect on the case, and no effect on the inside box. Interestingly, it has, and I chose this one on purpose, not because of the white, but because of the kind of copper gold on the front. I thought this was really eye-catching. There is ARGB lighting here and here that you can control, and you can even, through the front, the top input-output panel, there is a button to turn it on and off. So I thought that was pretty cool. This case has a lot of surprises, and it's really, really competitive with, like, the last case that I reviewed, the Antec P20C. This one, in many respects, kind of makes the Antec look not so special. And except for from the perspective of price, because obviously this one is more expensive. It's also a lot heavier. It's made with some plastic parts in here, but it's mostly steel, so it is pretty hefty. Now you can, if you don't need a lot of storage, like these 4 cages here for storage. If you don't need all of that, you can take all those out. Now one of these is about 1 pound 1 ounce, or 500 grams. So if you take out for all 4 of these, you're reducing the overall weight of the case by 2,000 grams, or 4.4 pounds. So that definitely is going to make a difference. And if I decide that I'm going to use this for my AMD build, and currently it's between this one and the Antec, unless I get more submissions, I would definitely be removing all of these, because I'm going to be mounting a 360 AIO for testing, and I'm probably going to test it on the side as well as on the front and on the top, because I really want to know, hey, where is it best on this case? Now, I'm guessing based on what I see here, that just like with the 5000X that I have from Corsair, the best position for the AIO will be on the side, exhausting air, which is a little bit weird, but I think that's going to work out the best. Now, one of the things this case does not come with is, if you remove all these storage things, there is no it's not really a shroud. It's more of a shunt. And on the 5000X, there is this panel that sits in front of this and if you happen to wanted to push air toward the motherboard, that does that. This does not have that option, but this does have a graphics card support. It has better grommets for the cable access holes than on the 5000X. It doesn't have as many as the P20C from Antec, but it does support from micro-ITX all the way up to SSI-CEB plus E-ATX, as well as ATX, mini ATX, and micro ITX. So a wide range of motherboards are supported. Now, I think I've teased you long enough without telling you about the price. So in North America, the price for the black version, and it's all black. I was disappointed. I had hoped that they would have this color on the front, but they don't. So I hope they will consider that possibility, because I think this would be very nice on the black as well. So $168.88 for the black, and then $188.88. Sorry, that's $188.88 for the copper gold and white version that I have right here. I don't have an expected release date yet. That's the MSRPs for North America. Now, I want to make it very clear that SilverStone offered this to me, no strings attached. I have figured out pretty much everything there is to figure out about this case. As far as I know, I could miss something. Hey, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at this very impressive premium case. And hey, if you don't want to spend $188.88 on the white copper gold version, get the black one and save yourself $20. But, visually speaking, I think that this is better. But this is my initial review. Can you do me a favor? Please like, subscribe, share, and even a short comment, as long as it's civil. And if you're doing feedback, make it constructive, so I can actually make use of it instead of saying, "Oh, that sucks." That doesn't help. That would be so helpful in building this channel. Thank you so much. As far as the size of this case is concerned, first of all, the black one is 14.2 kilograms, and this one is 14.35 kilograms. The dimensions are 244.7 millimeters by 521.4 millimeters by 538.5 millimeters, or 49.7 liters. And that is in metric, obviously, and in imperial. Now, for some reason, they didn't give gallons. They still gave liters, but in imperial, it's 9.63 inches by 20.53 by 21.2. So it's a fairly sizable case. You can have up to 8 3.5 or 2.5 inch drives. You can have, if you remove one of the brackets to connect a rear connector motherboard, then that number is reduced to 2 of them instead, plus an additional 3.5 inch drive and 3 more additional 2.5 inch drives, like I explained on these 3 locations here. So you could do 1, 2, 3 of the 2.5 inch, and then a 3.5 inch drive here. There's no mounting for external drives. As far as space for fans, this does come with the SST-SEA A2Y, and then for the gold and white, it's GWG, and for the black, it's BG. You can also included on the back is one more of that. You can also put in on the top. You can do 3 120s or 3 140s, On the bottom, you can do a 120 or a 140. On the actually, I think it might be here. And then on the side, you can do 3 120s or 3 140s. And then on here, internally, there are two more places where you can put 120 millimeter fans. For radiator support, on the front, 120, 140, 240, 280, 360, or 420. On the rear, a 120 or a 140. On the top, 120 all the way up to 420. On the bottom, you can't do any. And on the side, 120 all the way up to 420. But of course, if you want to do that, you have to remove the storage cage assembly to be able to use this for fans and for radiator. I think you would not be able to fit the heftiest radiators up on top, and it doesn't even explain what the thickest radiator is that's possible up here. But judging by the standoffs, I think you'd only be able to put a standard thickness one, 25 millimeter fans and 25 millimeter thick radiator. So you probably couldn't put a liquid freezer from Arctic up here, or the height, what is it, Q60, which is even thicker than that. However, you could put those here or here. Now, obviously, if you have a radiator that thick, it may make it difficult for you to mount something here if the radiator is here, and vice versa if the radiator is here. If you want to use an air cooler, the maximum height that this will accept is 190 millimeters. That is significant. There are very few CPU coolers that go over 170 millimeters, let alone 180, let alone 190. But they have that space available because of the design. Despite the fact that this is inset an inch or so, they still have a huge amount of space. If they hadn't used that inch, then it'd probably be closer to 200 millimeters of space for an air cooler. Sound card. The maximum length of an expansion card would be 438 millimeters. So we're talking about graphics cards or any other kinds of cards, whatever. We'll take a standard PS2 power supply, ATX, I mean. We'll start at the front, and I have to be careful to remove this because and I want, this is a warning to you. The case has got a hub, and these fans in the front, and it comes with 4 140 millimeter fans, 3 in the front, 1 in the back, and you can put in up to 11 140 millimeter fans, which is a lot, but the fans are already hooked up to the hub, so you have to be careful. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to unplug them from the hub because I don't want to damage the hub or the fans or the cables. All right, so this is all steel. However, the frame that it sits on is plastic. So you want to reach down. You want to reach down on the bottom, and very gently, then you want to grab this. There's a little handle down here, and I'm sorry I can't show it to you very easily because my left shoulder needs surgery, so I can't pick it up like I would otherwise. But hopefully with my hand like that, you can see this handle right here. As I said, the cables are coming out right here. That includes going to the LEDs in the front of the case. So we've got one going up here, and then the other one's going all the way down to here. Also, you'll notice that you can actually remove this thing for the fans with these 4 thumb screws. They are not captive thumb screws, unlike the doors of the outside of the case, which have captive thumb screws. And they're not really long either, which personally I think is good. So as you can see, there are these little knobs in the middle that correspond to these holes here, so that it holds it in place after you've removed the screws, so you don't actually cause any damage. But this makes it definitely a lot easier to mount something here. And as you can see, if you keep the storage cages in place, you'll be able to have the airflow moving somewhat, at least, through those cages. So it is a little bit awkward to get this reinstalled. I had to fiddle with it a bit, but once you do it, when you do it, try to do an X shape of the installation of the screws, and just get them in partially so that it'll hold the frame in place and help align all the holes. Once you've gotten one up on the top and one on the bottom, it'll be a lot easier to do that, and then go back and then again in an X shape, tighten it up. So this one is a little bit of a different design, and I like it better than what the Corsair does. I've always found the Corsair panels a little bit of a pain to open up. This one only has one tab over here, and it has one captive thumb screw right here, because once you got this loosened up, you see it's still held in place. It's not going to fall off, which is, fantastic. It's not going to fall off, obviously. All you have to do is, and I do suggest put one hand on the case just to be careful, and then you just pull that tab, and you can see that, again, just like with the front piece, there are a couple of these knobbly things. Well, not a couple. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knobbly things sticking out of the side here. I don't know what they call those. And with corresponding holes, 3 of which have catches in them to hold it in place so it won't accidentally collapse out like that one case that Gamers Nexus was just barely touching, and the panel just fell out and broke one of those knobs off. It was embarrassing for that company. So you can also see that this is steel. There isn't a dust filter here. The front also doesn't have a dust filter. Now, the perforations in these metal pieces are not sufficiently small to filter out dust. So this is going to be this is one of the drawbacks of this case. As you can see, they've taken a couple of different approaches here. Number one, this is designed to be able to take regular motherboards and the ones with the connectors on the back of the motherboard. Now, I know some people are going to be very excited about this because you can hide all the connectors, which means you can hide a lot more of the cabling that currently with a regular case, you see all these cables coming from the back, and people damage the cables because they're trying to yank them as far back into the back of the case as they can, and in the process they destroy motherboard headers and ports and stuff like that. I accidentally ruined one of my SETA ports on my motherboard, and that was not even I was yanking, it was just, it wasn't well seated, really. Anyways, so this has multiple points of control for cables. It has these double tabs here, here, and here that you can use these channels for small amounts of smaller cabling to come from these holes, as you can see right here. It also has this major channel right here, and it has another channel over here. And these are made with somewhat flexible plastic, so you can open it up, slide a cable in there, and then it snaps back in place. So it's got good memory. Just don't overdo it. This is not rubber. It is plastic, and if you pull it open too far, you will break it. So there are three there, and in addition to that, they've got some Velcro straps right here and here to make it, to give you a space, because this is about 1 inch deep, I think. So you can have the bigger cables running through here so that they're not making it difficult for you to reinstall this panel over this. In addition to that, there are cable tie stays. For example, here and here. There's one back here that's actually for the Velcro, and then there's another one here. You can do here and here. As I said, there is a fan hub, and you can do both PWM or 3-pin or 2-pin, as well as ARGB. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This supports up to 5 fans, which is fantastic. Now these fans are actually 3-pin fans instead of 4-pin, and they don't have AR. You've got one open here, and you've got all these ARGBs open as well. Plus, the LED for the front plugs in right there. In addition, to allow you more storage space, you've got these 2 panels that are removable. You can unscrew the thumb screw, take it off, mount whatever you're going to mount, and they do have indicators here, H, 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 and then these are S's, and again S's and H, so you can know which holes to use for what. A little bit awkward because it's a very simple hinge, just 2 tabs going into slots. And the same thing with this one. Captive screws on both, which is wonderful because you don't want to lose this screw. Nice little attention to detail. And just be careful not to catch the cable. Is that all? Well, not quite. Number one, this hub is powered by SETA. So you've got a SETA connector coming down to here near the side of the power supply. So it's very easy. It's already set up for you. All you got to do is get a SETA cable on your power supply and get this running. So that's fantastic, which means I'll be able to plug in this into my power supply and show you the LEDs working on the front, hopefully. And then of course you have to plug into the motherboard as well. It comes prepared for you, and I think that's nice. I also think that a lot of enthusiasts are going to be very excited with being able to put a rear connector motherboard on here. Now, you may have been noticing something while I've been talking. You're seeing over here these slots for fans. And you may have even noticed that there are already screws in these slots. That one's hidden, but so this doubles as the mounting point for the storage cages or fans or a radiator. 1, 2, 3. For the SATA drives, plus whatever. If you have like a regular hard drive you want to put here. So that all, there's just so much space for storage devices in this case. It's pretty incredible. I mean, if you add in all the space on the back with these 2 panels and so on, it's just very nice. I'm going to demonstrate for you how to remove and even raise and lower the positioning of the storage assembly so that you can adjust. If you just want to adjust the height of this assembly, the easiest thing to do is to loosen all of these screws up just a bit. They're short screws, so don't overdo it. So as you can see, just by loosening these screws, you can then change the height. So I'm going to, oh, I went all the way down. Now, as you can see, there's a limit to how high it could go given the current configuration with the bottom screws being here. You could remove these bottom screws, lift it all the way up, and then connect those screws up in this slot here, or sorry, these two slots here. And that way you can raise it up much higher if that is of need. Otherwise, you can lower it down further so you get more air from this fan blowing across to the motherboard. Whatever's going to best suit your needs, or you can start removing the storage cages. I'm going to demonstrate for you two ways to do it. One way is to take out the whole thing. Now, if you just want to take out the whole thing, you remove all 6 of these screws and you just lift it and pull it out. But if you just want to do removal of a certain one, like for example, you've got a graphics card that's very, and these storage cages are going to be in your way, right? So you'll want to remove the storage cages that are preventing you from installing your cage. So first of all, if you're not going to remove the other cages, you're going to use those or leave them there for future use, then you first want to adjust the height of this assembly so that it's where you want it to be. And then you have to, using your graphics card to figure out exactly which cage or cages need to be removed, you're going to go after these screws here. Now, there are 4 screws here and here, here and here, here and here, here and here. You're going to have to adjust the height somewhat to be able to access them. And they are kind of obnoxious in that when you're trying to do this, they do tend to fall down. They usually get caught by one of the cages. But if they don't, then they fall down to the bottom, and you can just kind of move the case around until they come to where you can access them. I've tightened up the 6 screws, and I'm going to just remove the top one. I'm using a Phillips number 2, and if you're going to work on this section, you're going to want to use a magnetic driver so you don't go crazy dropping screws. And that's all you have to do. This hangs in a temporary way from 3 tabs. 2 tabs here, and then there's a 3rd tab there. So it just hangs on this frame, 1, 2, 3. And so it's very easy to remove once you remove the screws. And each cage does have these trays which fit in there nicely. And again, there's the ventilation on the sides. So it's very nice. And again, this is 500 grams or 1 pound, 1 ounce. And that's how you put it back in. So now I want to show you how to remove the entire assembly. With these screws, you're going to want to loosen them and then start taking them off. I suggest removing these 2, then these 2, and then finally these 2 while holding the other side, just in case, to support the entire assembly. Don't forget to catch it so it doesn't slam down, especially if you've got stuff in the storage cages. They do not have tabs holding this assembly in place. First of all, loosen all 6 of the screws and lower it down to the floor of the case so it doesn't go crashing down, and then remove all 6 of the screws. It will settle onto the floor of the case, and do that gently so you don't scratch the paint, because as you can see, the paint is kind of thin, at least on the back here. And woo, that's hefty. I wanted to show you that, like I said before, you can take this whole assembly for the storage cages and hike it up all the way to the top. So that gives you some more options as far as additional storage space here, and of course these 2 spots again. If you need any of the accessories, which there aren't a lot of accessories, but there are some, they're mounted in here just like on some of the other cases. It comes with lots of round grommets. as well as we've got radiator screws, it looks like, and fan screws and mounting screws for the motherboard, standoffs for the motherboard, zip ties. The only thing that is missing is additional SilverStone Velcro straps. This is a replacement for this. So you get two of those. So that's nice. Not bad. Not as generous as what I got with the Corsair 5000X, but not bad. You can put up to a 420 millimeter long radiator here. Well, actually, it can be, some radiators are more than 420, but 420 is based on the size of the fans. So if you have four 140s, that equals 420. That's what they're getting those numbers from. The numbers for the size of radiators is based on the fans mounted on the radiators, not the radiators themselves, which can be maybe as much as a couple of inches longer than the full assembly. You can see the slots for mounting a 120 and for mounting a 140, and you see you have tons of space here now. And you can also see here that there is a few things I wanted to point out. So as you can see, there is another mounting thing here, and that's what the white grommets are for. You can put the grommets in here, and then you can mount like a SETA drive here, and you can do that inside of each of these, on the top of each of these, I should say. And so like you can have one here, or you can use all of these, or you can take this out, and you can do it however you want to, whatever's going to suit your needs. But this is like a storage master, like similar to the Kingdom Classico Storage Master that I reviewed last year. This is a little bit different in that it has an array that allows you to move all of them at one time. And if I remember correctly, the Kingdom Classico Storage Master, you have to remove each of them separately. There's not this frame that holds them all together. So that's a definite plus. So clearly, SilverStone has gone to a lot of trouble to make this a really nice case. You can see here also that you've got mounting holes here for various sizes of storage here if you want to use this space down here for storage. There's even one on the side for SETA. You can use grommets here. Also one here and another one here. So you've got, so actually if you wanted to, you can get up to, like I said, you can get up to 11 140 millimeter fans here. One here, one there, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 in the back. Of course, you have to remove this. Also, you can get up to 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 120 millimeter fans. So you can get a lot of fans in this case. Here is the GPU thing, and one of the nice things about this, you can do that. You can also adjust the positioning of this. So again, you're going to loosen up the screws. And you want to make sure it's loose enough that you don't scrape the paint. So as you can see, you can move it. Additionally, if this is too far away from the graphics card, you can remove the screws and use this slot, or you can use this slot to change the positioning to make sure that you're properly supporting your graphics card. Please don't say GPU. It's not a GPU. The GPU is the processing chip in the graphics card. And lest I forget, not only can you mount it that way, also there are 2 additional holes here that you can use instead. And, even better, There are two more here. So you've got three sets or three pairs of screw holes to use to mount this. And this graphics card anti-sag holder is the GB01 that they sell separately as well. And you can use it two different ways. So I'm going to show you some pictures of how you can utilize that, and also some different positioning. There's actually 4 pairs of mounting holes, and you can actually have this overhanging the PSU shroud if you need to. Instead of 7 slots, it's got 8 slots here. Now, it does not have a vertical GPU mounting position. It looks like. So you'd have to use something to accommodate that. But if you don't want to mess with the front so much, like I showed you about removing the front frame for mounting the fans or a radiator, you can access the screws for the fans from inside the case here, which is a little bit more awkward once you've got all this filled up with the motherboard, the whatever cooler you've got, and everything else. But you can do it that way. In addition to the cable access points with the grommets here, there are 2 more here that were not easy to see from the back. And that's lovely. Turning to the rear. Now, depending on how you're going to put your case somewhere, this is either convenient or inconvenient. In my way of thinking, it's a bit on the inconvenient side. To remove the bottom dust filter, you have to reach under here, and it's barely enough. There's barely enough space for me to reach under here because of the case sinking on the cardboard. But you can reach under here, and look at this. So basically, we're talking about almost the entire bottom of the case is filtered. So this is the only point that I'm aware of so far where there is a dust filter. And this is important if you're actually going to be drawing air up through the bottom, either naturally because you've got a lot of you've got more negative pressure or more exhaust going on, or if you have some fans mounted down there. And once they get into place, you kind of push it up and pull it back a little bit, and it'll latch into place. Now, you can adjust the position of the rear fan so that it's sucking air a little bit up higher to get more of the hot air that's going to rise to the top, or you can leave it in this position, or whatever you need to do. And what I would recommend is either putting it at the top to suck out more of the hot air at the top, or to have it in line with, as much as possible, if you've got an air cooler, the fan from the air cooler, so it's going directly from the air cooler into this fan and out. But one of the other interesting things about this, and I'd love to hear your comments on this, aside from the 8 slots that it's got here, you can also remove this entire thing by removing these 4 bolts. What do you think about that, and what would you use that for? So if I have to guess about the reason that this is a removable panel, would be that you can put everything on your motherboard, and then once you've got that there, you can put the motherboard slot cards on and attach this to those cards, so that instead of having to assemble some of the stuff on the motherboard, and then put the motherboard in, and then add the cards, all you gotta do is put everything in with this slot area attached to the cards already, and then screw it into place. That's my guess. Now, the alternative is that they're going to offer a different version of this tray, I guess you could call it, or plate, that has an option for a vertical graphics card mount right here. Because the way they've got this manufactured, these cards slot covers are attached to this section, so they can't just take this part. They have to take this part as well, and that makes it a bit easier for them to offer some kind of a graphics card option, but I doubt it because this is awfully narrow. But who knows? Maybe that's something that they're considering. And in an effort to make it easier for you to put a power supply in and take it out and deal with all the cabling problems, which is definitely an issue with the Corsair that I've got, because there is no way to do this. They have 2 thumb screws. And they are, again, captive. And you can mount this to the back of the power supply, and then you can slide the whole thing into there so easily. Now, this is really, really a nice feature, because if you buy something that needs to have another cable added to the power supply, normally what you're going to have to do is you'll have to come to the back. You probably have to move something that's in the way out of the way. You may have to actually remove the power supply, attach the cables, and then struggle to get that back in there, which is what I had to do with my Corsair more than once now. And that's very frustrating. But this one, you don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is pull your power supply out enough so that it's easy for you to access the ports. And of course, if you've got a switch model like Corsair's power supplies that are a switch model where the cable ports are on this side instead of on the back, that obviously is going to make this unnecessary. So that's more of a thing that's compatible with my Corsair case than this, if there's enough space. I'm not really entirely sure how much space there would be for a switch in the 5000X, let alone the smaller ones. But this is just so nice. I'm really pleased to have this. So, yeah, in fact, let me just demonstrate for you. Okay. I want to point out that one of the nice features, another little touch of attention to detail, is you can see right here there are these 2 pieces. This is actually rubber to support the power supply so it doesn't scrape against the bottom and so on and so forth. And that is a really nice touch, and it makes it easier to install the power supply. Other companies don't have this, so it's either sliding against this or you have to hold it up with one hand while you're screwing it in on here. This is very nice. Now, you can install your power supply like this with the fan blowing into or sucking air from the case down into here. I believe that's the direction. It would be sucking air out of the case down into the power supply, which means you'd be getting warmer air, but it's better off if you have the fan facing downwards, because then you've got the filter that's going to be sucking air from underneath. And please make sure that if this is going to be on carpeting, that you have a piece of something flat and solid, like a piece of thick plastic, like plexiglass or something like that, or a piece of wood underneath that, in order to allow enough airflow down here so that the power supply can get enough air when it needs it. So you attach this like this. Now, this does come with a bunch of little thumb screws, so I used the thumb screw. And you're going to install it like this. And that's really nice. I mean, That was so easy. So that's all you got to do for doing that. And now just imagine, oh gosh, I need to attach something here. Now, maybe you've got something stuck back here, or maybe this whole area is full of cables from other things you've already connected back here, and that's going to be a problem. So all you got to do, if there's no space here for you to maneuver, and I guarantee you, once you've got a bunch of cables connected to this, it is going to be awkward unless you've got a non-modular power supply where all the cables are permanently connected to the power supply. Then it's not a big deal. Then you just need all this space to be empty to hide all of those cables. But if you've got a semi-modular, or like this one, a modular one, you're going to want to simply do this. And then find the correct port and connect it. And that's all there is to it. That's so simple. And now I can connect the ARGB. Woohoo! Look at that. Yeah, the more I play with this case, the more enthusiastic I get about it. Sorry. I got to share this with you guys. It's a little bit embarrassing, but it's also funny at the same time. This is the bag of little thumb screws that I use to install the power supply. And I had this one that I needed to put back in the bag. I couldn't find it. I was looking all over around me. I couldn't find it. I got up, walked away to get some water, came back. There it was, sitting on my chair. I had put the bag between my legs on my chair so I wouldn't lose it. Oh, it's just so funny. So comparing that to mounting a power supply or adding a cable to a power supply in other cases that I've used, this was the easiest. So yeah, that's the attention to detail in this case is really nice. So from the rear, this is what it looks like. Now, obviously, I've got a black power supply. That doesn't matter, though. You can buy a white power supply if that's going to make you happy. Yeah, good luck finding one that's copper gold. You already saw this. But you didn't necessarily know that there are tabs right here, and they fit into slots right here. But yeah, you can see now that we've got ventilation all across the bottom, which is good, especially because it's got this dust filter. And unlike my 5000D and the Antec P20C, the dust filter actually fits flush to the bottom of this case. So most of the dust is going to be stopped here. So please make sure, depending on how dirty your home is, how much dust is in your environment, how often you clean, whether you've got pets, whether it's on the carpeting or whatever, please make sure to regularly clean this. You can remove it and then rinse it at the sink or with a sprayer, not a high-powered sprayer, or in the bathtub. And then once it's done, you can very gently tap it to get the excess water, and then just use a towel to remove the dampness that's left by patting it down. You can see the top here. It has a nice perforation of the stainless steel. Didn't notice that. Unfortunately, again, there's no dust filter. This, I just don't get it. After all the attention they put in this case, they forgot about dust filters, except for on the bottom. which if you got positive air pressure, a dust filter going across the bottom isn't exactly important, except for the power supply. Now, let's focus on the input-output panel, or I/O panel. We've got power with an LED built into it, and a reset with an LED built into it. We've got two USB 3.0A jacks. And then we've got speakers or headset, microphone jacks, and a USB 3.0 Type C jack. I would have liked to see 3.2 for all of this, all three of these USB jacks. And also, you can turn the LEDs on or off with this little button. And unfortunately, with this reset button being so close to the power button and it's not recessed, I'm afraid I'm going to accidentally push it, although it does require a bit of force to push it down. So I'm hoping that'll be okay, but I would really prefer that the reset button be bigger and reset more, so that you have to actually go down into a hole and you realize, oh, it's recessed. That's the reset button. I don't want to push it, do I? So minor complaint there, which is the same complaint I have with all the other cases that I've reviewed. But wait, I'm not quite done. You see, there's another secret about this case. I was very excited to see this. For me, being somebody who's in and out of my case all the time, this is a definite plus. Look at that. Not only can you access the top by removing this, which is fairly common for cases to have something that's removable, like on the top of my Corsair, I've got a dust filter and a glass panel that both can be removed. However, unlike the Corsair 5000X, this one, the mounting frame is removable. Now, the only downside of this case, as far as mounting fans, is the side panel, as far as I know, is not removable. But the front panel, you can remove the mounting frame. The top panel, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can remove the mounting panel. And additionally, in order to help you keep the cabling neat, you see these things here? These are for holding the cables from the fans in place so they're not sagging down and getting into the view of those of you who have OCD and hate seeing cables sagging or visible at all. So they've done a lot to make sure that cables are as minimally visible as is possible, which, you know, again, fantastic. You can actually service this assembly here by removing it. So, you know, if I wanted to modify this, the fact that I can unscrew it and take it out makes it a lot easier for me to put in 3.2 USB ports. And it is, again, it's held in place with these knobs. And the knobs have some stays and some holes. And you can do 120 and 140 again. And you've got holes for the cables here and here, front and back. So I'm not really sure what these are for. Why not enjoy this? I mean, I'm enjoying the idea of building in this. I almost forgot to mention one more thing. As with the Antec P20C, for this one, unlike the 5000X that I'm using for my current computer, the glass is recessed. So instead of you having a glass edge exposed here and here and on the bottom, you only have one edge that's exposed, and the corners, which on the Corsair are almost too sharp, are not exposed. Even the metal has been rounded. So another little touch of quality attention to detail. let's see if we can get the ARGB on. Oh, good news and bad news. I got the lights to go on, and then they burned out. I think it's because yeah, they're damaged. And that's my fault because I don't have a motherboard. What I did is I took the cable for the power that normally goes to the motherboard and connected it to the tester, which is where that noise is coming from. And I have the SETA connected, and I have, I've got everything. This is the problem. I'm not sure why there's both this ARGB connector to the motherboard as well as the SETA power, but I think that is the reason that my lights burned out, and that's probably my fault. But otherwise, you have this nice display going across here. We learned something. I should have remembered this, but what I've been trying to do was I plugged in the power supply to feed power to the SETA, to feed power to the hub, to feed power to the lighting. That didn't work. I tried plugging the ARGB cable into my motherboard. That didn't work. Then I got that brilliant idea to use the power supply tester to fake having a motherboard connected, at which point the power did get supplied, but I forgot to unplug the ARGB cable. And as a consequence, it blew out my lighting. So you can connect the power to the power supply through the SATA cable, or you can use PWM and ARGB from the motherboard. But apparently not both. Didn't realize that. I mean, I'm not perfect. That's why I call myself the PC expert amateur, because I'm still learning all the time. I mean, tech is such a quickly advancing field, and even with stuff that's fairly simple like this, which is mostly mechanical and not, there's no risk, you can still make mistakes easily, which is another reason that I encourage SilverStone to make sure to have full instructions included in their products. What do you think about this case? Do you think that this is going to be something that you're interested in? How much would you be willing to pay for it? Thank you so much for watching. And if you could please like, subscribe, share, and comment, that helps me to build my channel. Thank you. I would like to hear what you think about removing this entire assembly here, what the purpose would be that you would use it for. And any thoughts or concerns or questions about the case, I'll try to answer them for you. And if I don't know, I will ask SilverStone and see what they have to say about it. Number one, I would have made it so that the side mount for fans and radiators would have been removable as well. And I would have made it so that this entire section comes out instead of just this frame here, because then you don't have this bar in the way. And this is a very strong, stable case. Part of the reasons why it's heavy is they've overbuilt the strength of it. So you could sit on it even if you're fairly hefty, and you're not going to damage it, unlike some of the other cases I've reviewed where if you needed to sit on it and you're not going to wiggle around and you don't weigh a ton, not a ton, but you're not a very large individual, it's not a problem. But overall, given all the attention to detail, all the features, this is a really nice case, and I'm really impressed with it. And I think that the price, I'm going to be honest here. I think a lot of times cases are overpriced. And I know, like the Corsair 5000X, normally it sells for over $200, but it doesn't even have as many nice features as this one does, and this one $169.89, and it has more features. It's easier to build in. Overall, I feel that this is better quality and it's going to be less irritating for me to work in it than the Corsair. But the Corsair routinely goes on sale for up to $100 off. Is this one ever going to go on sale? I don't know. That's something I can't say about SilverStone. Obviously, I have no control over the pricing. I would recommend that they do some sales to periodically, especially if the sales are flagging. But I think really this is definitely a higher quality case. It makes it more convenient to build in, and it's got a lot of features that people want to see in cases. I've got a complaint. These things, I hate these things. 2 of them have come off of my Corsair, and they're going to come off of yours too if you're moving your case around. So I miss the old days when they would have a nice thick rubber cushion here that was held in place with a big old bolt or screw. So, minor complaint. If you're not going to be moving your case around, you're probably not going to have to worry about it too much. But if you're like me, where you're often in your case because of what I do for this channel, this is going to come off, these 4 little feet. My shiny bald head. Didn't want to blind you anymore. All right, some more suggestions. List the thickness for the radiators, because this is often overlooked despite the fact that the Arctic Liquid Freezer series is immensely popular and quite thick, and the Height Thick Q60 is much thicker than that. There's also the matter of thicker fans like the FHS 140X at 38 millimeters thick, which performance enthusiasts like myself will likely use instead of the stock fans, especially people who want to squeeze every degree they can out of their system. I have seen many comments from AIO buyers saying that they had to return an AIO because there wasn't enough clearance. The only dust filter is on the bottom. Include a couple of magnetic dust filters, or if you really want to accommodate enthusiasts, have one of the 420 millimeter dust filters be split into 2 or 4 for the top, so that someone can have some fans on intake and others on exhaust for those who prefer to fully optimize airflow, especially over an air cooler. Another one is include 1 or more extra Velcro straps for control of cable bundles where no stays exist. For example, the graphics card power cables. Switch the bolts for the individual storage cages and the mounting frames with ones that are easier to screw in. I found them difficult to get started. Provide a shortened link on the warranty and info sheet to the documentation for the product. Offer an upgrade kit or separately purchased kit for the top I/O panel for all USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, and another that has only USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C ports in black, white, or copper gold. This will also get rid of the problem of the too thin pins of the USB 3.0 motherboard header becoming bent or broken when the plug is connected. It's easy to happen. It's even happened to me. Yep. Have a power supply shroud that is open-ended toward the front with 4 add-on pieces that can be used to, 1, completely close the sidewall, has the existing mesh style, has a, say, 45-degree angle to redirect the air from the bottom fan upwards, and a shaped piece that seamlessly, perhaps, closes the front gap while not restricting the width and depth of the space for radiators and fans. Another possibility is a power supply shroud that allows people who want to show off their power supply via a window in the front of the shroud so the make and model are visible. Well, really, it's the side of the shroud. Offer storage trays that are a different color than the storage cages, perhaps gold. Make sure the instructions make it clear how to connect the fan hub so that nothing will get damaged electrically. Increase the rigidity of the frames of the cable grommets so they won't pop out so easily. Give a third option where the front panel of the black model can be fitted with the copper gold plate, possibly with complementing trim, maybe stickers, for additional flair. Offer other color combos such as black and gold, white and gold with black trim, black and gold with white trim, white and black. These are just suggestions. SilverStone can do what they like with them. I'm not demanding. I'm just making a suggestion. So there we go. That's all. I'm so thankful you stuck around for such a long time. Bye. Hello, thanks for watching my video, and I need to ask for your help. So my financial situation has become very uncertain with my employer and also with the workers' comp case I have from an injury I had at work last year in 2023, for which I'm currently suing the workers' comp company. I really don't know what's going to happen in the next few months, but if you can find it within your ability without screwing yourself up to help me out, you have two options. One of those is to just go to my channel, Glenn's Fast Reviews, and make a one-time donation there. Or if you would want to do a repeating donation, a monthly donation, you can go to patreon.com slash GLENNMII. That's G as in Glenn, LEN as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, no, not but I, right? And there are various choices for you to sign up for. If you cannot afford the lowest option that I have put up there, let me know and I will put in a lower option that can work for other people. Also, I want to say thank you to my very first Patreon, Rudik from Australia, who has been very kind enough to support me and even said if I can't afford the postage to send the gifts that he has become eligible for, that's okay. I will certainly try to do that anyways. And it means a lot because not only did you choose to financially support me, but you've also been supportive in some comments on some of my videos, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if there are any questions, please put them in the comments, and you here or on Patreon, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Sometimes I don't see comments right away because of the way YouTube works. And oh, by the way, thank you to Bleeping Computer, and it's the owner of Bleeping Computer who goes by the name of Grindler online on his website, for allowing me to use his platform to promote my channel, the PC Expert Amateur, and I appreciate it very much. And if you need help with, say, malware or technical problems with your computer, the Bleeping Computer volunteers are a good bunch of people who have a great deal of knowledge about a lot of different kinds of problems with computers. And with there was a dedicated volunteer malware removal team there. Sorry. And we'll be happy to help you. And you can just go to bleepingcomputer.com and click on the forums. There's also lots of great news about cybersecurity, about hackers and stuff like that.